interrupting Chen Yang's thoughts. By the way, classmate Chen Yang, I have an idea I want to discuss with you. Chen Yang raised his eyebrows and replied curiously. Please speak, senior. What do you think about letting Lin Xingyi join the school student union? This question stunned Chen Yang's school student union. Chen Yang didn't have any objection. Lin Xingyi had already joined several clubs, and Chen Yang was worried that she would be too busy to handle it. Liu Yuan seemed to notice Chen Yang's hesitation and sent another message. Of course, this is just a suggestion. There are no mandatory activities in the Food Society and the School Student Union, so you don't have to participate if you don't have time. If Junior Lin Xingyi is interested, she can come for an interview next semester, which is when you are in your sophomore year. If you are interested, you can come too. After thinking it over again and again, Chen Yang decided not to give a clear answer for the time being. He replied, "Thank you for your advice, I will discuss it with her." Liu Yuan put down her phone and immediately returned to the main topic. Let's sleep together. Chapter 39. My civil servant father. The more Keeling thought about it, the more she shouldn't have agreed to let Yuan play on her bed. Then she shook her head. No, my bed is too small for two people. Liu Yuan pouted, revealing an aggrieved expression. But we haven't slept together for a long time, almost a week. After saying this, he put his arms around her waist. No, can we sleep together? The little girl was hugged by Yuan's waist, and she felt a soft pressure on her chest, feeling a little helpless. Yuan, stop making trouble, I'm busy at the Youth Association tomorrow. Liu Yuan looked at Keeling Yu with big eyes, her eyes full of pleading. Just one night, please. The more Keeling Yu looked at her best friend acting coquettously, her heart couldn't help but soften a little. But she still tried to reason. But the bed is really too small, we will be very uncomfortable. Liu Yuan immediately vacated half of her seat, and took Keeling Yu's hand. See, it's totally fine to sleep like this. But the distance was too close. And Keeling could feel Yuan's breath on his face. As she spoke, she stretched out her hand and continued to hug Keeling Yu's waist, saying coquettously, just sleep like this, okay? Another roommate, Shang Yuan Nuo, listened to the noise here, and remembered that Yuan had pestered him in the same way a few days ago, saying something, Nuo, you smell so good, I want to sleep with you. Linjiang University's dormitories all have for people. There was originally another person named Shang Yanmaya in Yuan's dormitory, but she moved out because their personalities were not compatible. Keeling Yu was hugged by Yuan. She wanted to break free but couldn't bear to do so. The two female college students were pressed together in their thin pajamas. She sighed, knowing that she couldn't win over this stubborn best friend. Well, you don't make my bed dirty. Keeling Yu finally compromised. Liu Yuan cheered happily and pet Keeling Yu lightly on the cheek. Yu is the best. Although they were both girls, Keeling Yu blushed a little after being kissed, and gently pushed Liu Yuan. Okay, I'll sleep at Nono's place next time. Also, find a boyfriend as soon as possible, don't hold it in until you get sick. Chen Yang was still wondering if he could solve the problem of multi-device detection on the campus network broadband. It's a bit of a rip-off to only be able to connect to devices at the same time for 90 yuan a month. My roommates often complain about it, but fortunately the internet speed is still pretty good. However, people still use it while cursing for people with great network demands. A data card of 200 or 300 G is not enough, and they have to use broadband. For example, those who broadcast live all day long and occasionally need to download gains of dozens of GB have to use broadband. Chen Yang first bought some basic computer science books for 10 yuan from the school's second-hand book group to get a general understanding of the subject. As long as the multi-device detection of the campus network broadband can be bypassed, a dormitory only needs one broadband account to be used by 4 people. You can use the internet freely. The cost performance is also greatly improved. But damn, this book makes me dizzy. Information gap is the most valuable. The earlier you get it out, the brighter the prospects will be. With Chen Yang's major, he can study software or hardware in the future, or even major in both. It is not a waste to learn something about computers. If you don't understand something, you can discuss it with Xingyi. Thinking of this, Chen Yang thought of the physics course he failed in college. During the summer vacation, I will have to arrive at school one day earlier than others to take the makeup exam. It's a whole day less of holiday, thank you very much. I was a bit bored of reading, so I opened the photo album and flipped through it. There was a photo saved from the school forum. The photo was of Xingyi wiping her own sweat after playing ball. It was a really nice shot. I continued flipping through the pages and saw a photo of him and his parents. A thought flashed through his mind, and he thought of Chu Sheng again. Since Chu Sheng wants to apply for the selected candidate, his parents are civil servants, so he should be familiar with the policy. Chen Yang picked up his phone, flipped to the address book, and found his father's number. The call was connected quickly. "Hello, son?" Chen Jianjin's voice came from the other end, with a hint of surprise. "Why did you suddenly remember to call me? I miss you, isn't it?" Chen Yang cleared his throat. "Dad, I want to ask you something. Do you know what the policy is for selecting university students?" There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone, and then my father's slightly excited voice came. "Oh, are you interested in this? Wait, I forgot about it. Let me take a look." Chen Yang quickly explained. No, I don't have that idea, I'm just asking." Chen Jianjin's tone was a little disappointed, but he quickly returned to normal. "Then why are you asking this? Parents always want to leave something for their children. If Chen Yang is interested in this, then as a father I can pave the way for him. If he is not interested, then there is nothing I can do." Chen Yang racked his brains to think of an excuse. "A classmate of mine is considering this path, and I wanted to learn more about it." "That's fine," my father said with understanding in his voice. "Then let me give you a brief introduction." In the next 10 minutes or so, Chen Yang listened and carefully to his father's explanation of the details of the policy for selected students. As a staff member within the system, my father's understanding of this aspect is indeed much deeper than that of ordinary people. In general, my father concluded, the state selects outstanding university graduates to work at the grassroots level and train future leading cadres. This is a great career path if you have the opportunity. "Dad," Chen Yang interrupted, "I told you, I'm really not interested in this." Chen Jianjin sighed on the other end of the phone. Okay, I know you have your own ideas. But this information is useful after all. And it may be useful in the future." Chen Jianjin's educational philosophy for his son since childhood has been free development within the rules. As long as it is not out of the ordinary, he will not restrict him. Although Chen Yang's mother Li Huowan often complains, she generally practices this way. It's better for boys to go out and explore the world. After ending the call, Chen Yang sat on a chair in the dormitory, thinking about the information he had just received. Being a selected candidate is indeed a relatively fast path to promotion. No wonder Chu Sheng is interested in it. Opening WeChat on his computer, Chen Yang was flipping through the PDF file that his father Chen Jianjin had just sent him. Selected students or candidates for reserve party and government, leading cadres and high-quality staff members of party and government organs at or above the county level. The review period is relatively sensitive and they are subject to strict and high standards. In terms of political morality, professional ethics, social morality, family virtues, etc. It's all official language, and it seems to have some sleep-inducing effect. But Chen Yang still captured some useful information. It is the review period when the candidates for selected candidates are determined, and you cannot let anything go wrong. If there is any disturbance, your place may be lost. Thinking of this, Chen Yang's mood instantly became much happier. His moral level varies, depending on who he is talking to. Now we just have to wait and see if we can get some negative information about Chu Sheng. I have to say this feeling of having something on someone else's side is really wonderful. Chu Sheng, you'd better behave yourself. Chapter 40 Summer Vacation Promise. Chen Yang felt that he was just reading these computer science books, but couldn't understand anything. What Wireshark? What 802.1x protocol? I forget them after looking at them once. Never mind, at worst I can just learn while doing it. I don't believe that I can't break this school's multi-device detection. I have a feeling this will definitely be a business opportunity. Thinking of this, I sent a message to Xingyi. Xingyi, help, what does this thing called mean? Chen Yang also did not forget to make use of the existing resources around him. Hey, Xiao Jibo, do you still have the WI55 router you replaced? Chen Yang stared at Ji Bakyu, who was holding his mobile phone and looking at the chat page. Needless to say, they are definitely flirting again. Ji Bakyu paused when he heard this and turned around. Yes, what's the matter? Are you suddenly interested in this? I want to play with it. Can you lend it to me to study? Research, what do you want to do? How can researching routers help you to chase girls? Ji Bakyu started to talk nonstop. I think college students should focus on how to date and how to eat happily. Alright, don't worry about it. Chen Yang jumped off the bed and walked quickly to Ji Bakyu. Lend it to me for fun, I promise I won't break it. Ji Bakyu's fingers were rapidly tapping on the phone keyboard. Okay, I don't need it anyway, it's in the bottom drawer of my cabinet. You can take it yourself. Chen Yang didn't bother to be polite with his son. He walked towards Ji Bakyu's closet, squatted down, and opened the bottom drawer, which was full of various sundries. He searched carefully, afraid of messing up his roommate's things. By the way, Chen Yang asked again, do you have a screwdriver? A small one, or a screwdriver set would be best. Ji Bakyu's fingers stopped on the keyboard, and he slowly turned his head, his eyes full of suspicion. Screwdriver, you want to take it apart? Chen Yang smiled awkwardly and scratched his head. I just want to see what it's like inside. Ji Bakyu sighed and pointed to a small box beside the table. It's there, find it yourself. Ji Bakyu shook his head, knowing that his old router was probably doomed. He was about to continue his life's work on his phone when he suddenly remembered something. By the way, I have good news for you. Hearing the good news, Fu Qin also poked his head out from behind the bed curtains. Liu Daonji should have gone to the gym and is not in the dormitory. Chen Yang stopped searching and looked up. What's the good news? Ji Bakyu showed a smug smile on his face, as if to say, praise me now. Shan Shuying agreed to go out on a second date. But his expression suddenly became a little embarrassed. I'm worried about how to arrange this date, can you give me some advice? Chen Yang found the replaced router and sat back in his chair. We are not familiar with each other yet. What else do you want to do besides eating and watching movies? However, for the router's sake, I can give you a trick to improve your favorability. Ji Bakyu moved closer and looked at Chen Yang expectantly. Please give me some advice, Godfather. After all, it was Chen Yang who arranged the first date for Ji Bakyu, and Tong Tian's record can be checked. Chen Yang tried hard to recall the time when he sat in the backseat of Shen Shuying during his senior year of high school. Clearing his throat, he said in an unfathomable manner, remember, give them a Hello Kitty pendant, it will definitely work. Ji Bakyu was stunned for a moment with a look of doubt on his face. Hello Kitty? That pink kitten, isn't this a little too childish? Chen Yang patted Ji Bakyu on the shoulder, looking confident. Trust me, girls all like this kind of cute little thing. And most importantly, he said in a low mysterious voice, the price should not exceed $50. Chen Yang always makes suggestions based on Shen Shuying's general preferences and personality. However, the three roommates didn't know that they were classmates in high school. Ji Bakyu was even more confused. Why do you have to limit the price? I was thinking about buying a more expensive one. Chen Yang shook his head with an expression that said, you are still too young. Hey, what do you know? It's too expensive, and girls will feel psychologically burdened. 20 or 30 yuan is about right, it shows that you are thoughtful, but doesn't put pressure on others. It's just right. Ji Bakyu nodded thoughtfully, thinking it made sense. I see, I'll listen to you then. Lin Xingyi saw the questions asked by Chen Yang, and tried her best to reply him in easy-to-understand words. But it was still a long paragraph when typed out. Strange. Why is Chen Yang interested in these? Lin Xingyi's two white and tender thumbs crisscrossed on the phone screen. Chen Yang looked at the reply and found that he still didn't quite understand it. It seemed necessary to get some face-to-face tutoring. Since I can't understand it, I'll put it aside for now. Chen Yang is still worried about the upcoming summer vacation. Xingyi, there are still 2 weeks until summer vacation. Do you have any plans? After sending the message, Chen Yang stared at the phone screen, waiting for a reply. What he was worried about was that if Xingyi had to face her parents for the entire summer vacation, it would be unthinkable. He was afraid that all his efforts for a semester would be wasted, and he didn't want to meet her on the rooftop when the second semester of his sophomore year started. If I ignore her during the summer vacation, the progress of her depression treatment will probably be reversed. A few minutes later, Lin Xingyi's reply came. Summer vacation. I don't have any plans, I'll probably stay at home. It doesn't seem realistic to persuade Lin Xingyi to travel alone. Even with Chen Yang accompanying her, Lin Xingyi was still a little afraid to go to crowded places. Chen Yang noticed the hesitation and reluctance in Xingyi's reply. Just as I was thinking about how to reply, Xingyi sent another message. Speaking of going home, I suddenly remembered that I haven't taken my medicine yet. When Chen Yang saw this message, his heart sank suddenly, knowing that this referred to antidepressants. Lin Xingyi's condition has been improving recently. But when she thought about going home, the familiar feeling of depression began to bother her again. Chen Yang quickly replied, Xingyi, if you don't want to go home, would you like to go out with me for a few days? After sending this message, Chen Yang's heartbeat quickened. He actually had a plan a long time ago and wanted to take Xingyi to the countryside to have a look. I can also go back to visit my grandparents. Let her temporarily get away from the hustle and bustle of the city and breathe some fresh air. Lin Xingyi seemed surprised by this sudden invitation and did not respond for a long time. In the rental house, Lin Xingyi curled up on the sofa, her delicate eyebrows wrinkled, looking thoughtful. Going out with him. But how can I explain this to my parents? Forget it. They're busy anyway, so they won't come to check on me. Just say there's a school event and I'm staying at the rental house. Just when Chen Yang began to worry whether he was too abrupt, the news finally came. Well, I really don't want to go home. I know, Chen Yang replied. That's why I want to take you out to relax. Believe me, I won't let you down. Chen Yang certainly never let Lin Xingyi down. At most he gave her a few scares. I'll make the arrangements. You just need to be relaxed and travel the world with me. However, Chen Yang still needs to solve a problem. How to explain it to your parents. Chapter 41. I only go out with you. If you directly tell your parents that you want to go out with a girl alone, they will nag you endlessly. It's simple, just don't tell anyone and do it first and report later. After getting the Wi-Fi 5 router, that G-Box you replaced, Chen Yang spent the whole day studying it with his computer. Except for major courses, you can skip all others. The dormitory is too noisy, so I might as well come to Lin Xingyi's rental house. If I don't know the answer, maybe I can ask her after all. She is someone who specializes in related fields. Accompany her, by the way. The midsummer sun shines into Lim Xingyi's small rental house through the slightly worn curtains, casting mottled lichen shadows on the floor. The room was filled with a faint smell of camphor mixed with the fragrance of freshly brewed green tea. There is also the familiar scent of lavender, which creates a unique atmosphere in this small space. The gentle sound of the air conditioner working and the sound of the laptop cooling down are intertwining with the tireless chirping of cicadas outside the window. Chen Yang was concentrating on fiddling with the rather shabby-looking Wi-Fi 5 router in his hand, typing out the code, but he was not very proficient in yet. Fine beads of sweat oozed out of his forehead. He wiped it with his sleeve from time to time, and then continued to bury his head in the work at hand. Complex codes flashed on the laptop screen, and the sound of fans generating heat was heard from time to time. Lin Xingyi leaned on the sofa not far away, holding her mobile phone in one hand and fiddling with a strand of hair with the other. His eyes would occasionally move away from the phone screen, secretly looking at Chen Yang, who was concentrating on his work. The light outlined a soft contour on Chen Yang's profile, making Lin Xingyi stare at him in a trance. We had clearly agreed to discuss any problems with each other, but Chen Yang has ignored me for several hours. Snort. Lin Xingyi sometimes took off her home slippers and walked barefoot, as quietly as a kitten. Seeing that Chen Yang had no reaction and was still concentrating on his own things, she walked away with a bit of disappointment and curled up on the sofa. I told you to ignore me. I told you to ignore me. Lin Xingyi grabbed a stuffed bear on the sofa and started beating it gently. Feeling a wave of sleepiness coming over her, she yawned a little and stretched. Chen Yang. Lin Xingyi called softly, with a hint of laziness in her voice. What on earth are you studying this for? I see you've been busy all afternoon. Chen Yang blinked his sore eyes and rubbed his temples. He turned around and faced Lin Xingyi, with a slightly tired smile on his lips. This one. Chen Yang's eyes flashed with anticipation. If I can flash an anti-detection firmware into the router, I can bypass the school's multi-device detection. In this way, dormitories can use one account to connect multiple devices, saving a lot of internet fees. It is truly a great initiative to benefit college students. Chen Yang has visited some websites discussing technology. Some seniors from other universities have also been dissatisfied with their school's multi-device testing and have had some exploratory experience. However, the anti-detection protocols in every place and every school may not be exactly the same, so you still need to figure it out on your own. As he spoke, he stood up and stretched lazily. The hem of his work shirt rose slightly, revealing a small part of his strong waist. Lin Xingyi quickly and politely looked away, but couldn't help but steal a glance. Her cheeks slightly flushed. She bit her lower lip lightly and nodded thoughtfully. She stood up, walked to the window and gently pulled open a corner of the curtain. It was not completely dark yet. In summer, the days are long and the nights are short. It was actually almost 7 o'clock. But, she said softly, with a hint of uncertainty in her voice, why should I save money on the internet? If you need money, I can give it to you directly. The tone was natural and innocent, as if supporting Chen Yang was a very natural thing even in this situation. Naturally, Chen Yang's family was not short of money, but they were just unhappy that the school department in charge of campus broadband was making money in an unscrupulous way. If there is any money to be made, he has to do it himself, and he must do it without any conscience. There was a moment of silence in the room. Chen Yang looked at Lin Xingyi's serious expression and patted her shoulder gently. The light shone on the two of them, casting shadows on the floor. It's not about money. I feel a special sense of accomplishment when I create something myself. A sense of accomplishment is. Chen Yang was thinking about how to explain this word to Lin Xingyi. When you complete a task or solve a problem by yourself, you will feel very happy and satisfied. It's like. His eyes fell on a potted plant on the windowsill. It was a small succulent plant with full leaves that glowed healthy in the sun. Just like the flower you raised, Chen Yang said, pointing at the succulent plant. When you see it growing bigger day by day and blooming small flowers, don't you feel happy? That feeling is a sense of accomplishment. This plant was bought for her. By Chen Yang, taking care of plants can make her more passionate about life. The same applies to taking care of pets, but conditions do not allow it now. Lin Xingyi followed Chen Yang's finger and looked at the succulent plant. A hint of realization flashed in her eyes. She nodded slightly, a gentle smile on her lips. Also, when she wasn't paying attention, Chen Yang pinched her little face with his right hand and held the back of her head with his left hand. Turn her head around and force her to look at you. Lin Xingyi felt her heart beating so fast that it was about to jump out of her chest. She subconsciously shrank back into the sofa, but couldn't help but look up and peek at Chen Yang. Chen Yang's face was so close that she could even smell a faint minty scent on him. Little rich girl, money should be spent on valuable things. But, I think it's very valuable to give it to you, Lin Xingyi muttered, with a hint of resistance in her voice. The money you are spending now belongs to your parents. To minimize the influence of your parents, you must first be financially independent. Chen Yang persuaded her with both reason and emotion. If you give me the money you earn in the future, I have no objection. Lin Xingyi listened to him quietly, her long eyelashes trembling, thinking, today can you? Lin Xingyi took a deep breath, mustered up the courage to raise her head, her eyes met Chen Yang's, and her heart skipped a beat. Chen Yang, her voice was trembling. I was wondering, can we? Chen Yang waited patiently for her to finish her words. Can we go shopping together, just tonight? Lin Xingyi finally spoke out in one go. After saying that, she immediately lowered her head. The corners of her slightly upturned eyes were tinged with pink, and her round and cute toes twisted a few times in her home slippers. The sound of car horns outside the window, and the faint sound of music in the distance filled the silence of the moment. Lin Xingyi nervously pulled one of the teddy bear's ears, fearing that she would hear Chen Yang's rejection. Hey, what's going on? Chen Yang raised his eyebrows with a hint of ridicule in his tone. Our little home girl is actually going out on her own initiative? It was a bit beyond Chen Yang's expectation that Lin Xingyi would take the initiative to contact the outside world. This is a good sign and cannot be rejected. Although I don't like shopping, I still remember clearly how my mother dragged me shopping when I was a child and how I sat on the ground and cried when I couldn't walk anymore. Is it not possible? Lin Xingyi didn't hear a positive answer, and the faint light in her eyes dimmed. Mustering up the courage, he looked directly into Chen Yang's eyes and tried again. I just want to go out with you. Chapter 40. To what does it feel like to hold this hand? Okay. Chen Yang thought, he has been sitting all day, it would be a good time to go out and move around. Lin Xingyi took a deep breath, mustered up her courage, and called softly, well, could you go to the bathroom for a minute? Chen Yang looked at Lin Xingyi with a little doubt. He noticed Lin Xingyi's slightly flushed cheeks and flickering eyes, and a ripple appeared in his heart. What bad things do you want to do? Lin Xingyi bit her lower lip, her eyes wandering, her fingers twisted together unconsciously, and her voice became softer due to nervousness. It's just, I want to prepare. Can you please stay in the bathroom for a minute? Don't come out until I tell you to, okay? Chen Yang heard the nervousness and anticipation in Lin Xingyi's voice, and a gentle smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He stood up, walked to Lin Xingyi and patted her shoulder gently. Okay, he said softly, I'll wait for you in the bathroom. But he paused, a mischievous glint in his eyes. You don't want to surprise me, do you? After hearing what Chen Yang said, Lin Xingyi's cheeks immediately turned a deeper shade of red. She lowered her head and muttered softly, you don't guess. Go in quickly. Chen Yang was amused by Lin Xingyi's cute reaction. He smiled and raised his hands in surrender. Okay, I'll go right away. Having said that, he turned and walked towards the bathroom. Before closing the door, he did not forget to look back at Lin Xingyi, curious about what this girl was up to. The door closed with a click, and Lin Xingyi finally breathed a sigh of relief. She turned to face the floor-length mirror, and looked at herself in the mirror. Okay, Lin Xingyi, she said to herself, you can do it. The hands of the clock moved slowly, and every second seemed to remind her not to let Chen Yang wait too long. Oh my god, what am I doing? Lin Xingyi murmured softly, twisting her fingers nervously. This was the first time she took the initiative to ask Chen Yang out. Although they were just going to the night market and shopping mall near the school, she was still very nervous. Does this count as a date? Lin Xingyi's eyes swept over the clothes spread out on the bed. A light blue dress, a white A-line skirt, and a pink short-sleeved sweater. Each one of them was her favorite, but at this moment she felt that none of them was perfect enough. Which one should I wear? Lin Xingyi frowned and demonstrated one thing at a time. The light blue dress is too formal, the white A-line skirt looks a bit childish, and the pink sweater isn't too eye-catching? It's so hard to choose. As time passed, Lin Xingyi's heartbeat became faster and faster. She took a deep breath and finally chose the pink sweater and paired it with a simple pair of jeans. That's it, she said to herself, just keep it simple and natural. After putting on her clothes, Lin Xingyi stood in front of the mirror again. Staring at myself in the mirror, I suddenly realized that my face looked a little pale. Would you like to put on some makeup? As soon as this idea came up, I fell into a new round of entanglement. Lin Xingyi dug out from the drawer a complete set of cosmetics that she had been tricked into buying when she first entered college. But she had never used them since then. I didn't even have the mind to dress myself up before. When I opened the lid of the liquid foundation, a faint fragrance wafted out. After hesitating for a moment, he carefully squeezed a small drop onto the back of his hand. How do you use it? Lin Xingyi frowned, clumsily dipped her fingers in a little liquid foundation, and gently applied it on her face. However, when she looked at the mirror again, she found several obvious marks on her face. That's bad. Time passed by little, and Lin Xingyi became more and more nervous. After all, she still made Chen Yang wait in the bathroom. She picked up the wipes and carefully wiped off the foundation on her face. Forget it, she took a deep breath, I'll just go without makeup. Chen Yang is used to seeing me like this anyway. Was it too rash to ask him out this time? Lin Xingyi shook her head, trying to drive away these negative thoughts. No, she said to herself, I'm getting better, I'm trying. She took one last look in the mirror to make sure there was nothing wrong with her outfit, took a deep breath, and fled out of the rental house. In the bathroom, Chen Yang washed his face with cold water and listened to the rustling sounds outside. After a while, it became quiet again. Chen Yang, you can come out now. See you at the school's South Gate 5, I'll be there first. Adzot's flustered voice came from the phone, and after she finished speaking, there was a quick beep and then the phone was hung up. What the hell? Chen Yang didn't quite understand and carefully turned off the water and electricity before going out. Night has fallen, and the street lights on campus are lighting up one after another. Lin Xingyi walked on the familiar path, every step filled with nervousness and anticipation. The fifth south gate of the school. South Gate 5 is the smallest gate of the school. It usually has few people, but it is very convenient for going to the nearby night market. Lin Xingyi stood under the street light at the door. The warm yellow light sprinkled on her, adding a soft halo to her. I couldn't help wondering, will you think I'm too abrupt? Just as Lin Xingyi was daydreaming, she saw a familiar figure walking towards her from afar. She was not dressed up at all, and there were many marks left by black pen on her white short-sleeved shirt. She must have been wearing it since high school. Comfortable and wear-resistant. It is quite suitable for wearing when working. But Lin Xingyi doesn't mind. When she wants to see someone, being able to see him is already the biggest surprise. Chen Yang noticed that Lin Xingyi's outfit seemed to be more carefully designed than before. You look refreshed. Spirit? The girl's eyes were bright under the warm yellow street light, reflecting Chen Yang's figure, and she didn't quite understand the word. Let's just call it a compliment. Lin Xingyi raised her head, mustered up her courage, and her nervousness made her voice tremble. Do I look good today? As soon as she said this, Lin Xingyi regretted it and couldn't believe that she actually asked such a straightforward question. Lin Xingyi had never doubted her appearance since she was a child, but she was still nervous when she asked. There is a world of difference between the evaluation of ordinary people and the evaluation of people you care about. Chen Yang was stunned for a moment, and his encouraging tone was as gentle as coaxing a child. You look good, you always look good, even better when you smile. In the future, Chen Yang may be good at raising children. Lin Xingyi lowered her head, trying to hide her expression. Thanks. Chen Yang felt that it was a big progress that Lin Xingyi took the initiative to ask him out. If this continues, it is not impossible to restore normal social skills in the future. Let's go. Chen Yang said softly. The night market should be getting busy now. I've been sitting here all day and I'm starving. Lin Xingyi nodded and followed Chen Yang. The surroundings were familiar scenery, but at this moment, it felt a little different. The cool night breeze blew by, bringing a hint of fresh air, and the trees on the roadside cast mottled shadows under the illumination of the streetlights. Lin Xingyi glanced quietly at Chen Yang beside her, her heart filled with mixed emotions. What do we want to do tonight? Chen Yang was a little absent-minded, still thinking about how to bypass anti-detection. He asked softly, interrupting Lin Xingyi's thoughts. I'm not sure. I heard there's a new food stall at the night market. It's said to be delicious. Do you want to try it? Lin Xingyi walked beside Chen Yang. Her heart beat quickening slightly as she looked at his hand so close to her. When this hand grabs my wrist, it is warm, strong, and powerful. I really want to hold your hand. What does it feel like? He secretly glanced at Chen Yang's profile, then quickly lowered his head, fearing that his little action would be discovered. Chapter 43. No one can take it away. Chen Yang, what do you think will be fun at the night market? Lin Xingyi asked softly, looking at Chen Yang's hand so close. With a hint of barely perceptible nervousness in her voice, Chen Yang turned his head to look at Xingyi, and a smile unconsciously appeared on the corner of his mouth. There are balloon shooting, ring tossing, and all kinds of snacks. We'll play whatever you want. Chen Yang's tone was gentle, and he tried his best to leave a good impression on her first time going out on her own initiative. Lin Xingyi walked with her head down, but her eyes were always on Chen Yang's hand. Well, can we play ring toss together? I've never played it before. Sure. Chen Yang's words were as gentle as the evening breeze, lightly passing through Lin Xingyi's heart. At the night market next to Lin Zhang University, the minimum purchase of ring tosses is 20, and each one costs $1. It was a huge street stall with electronic toys, stuffed dolls, live white rabbits and other items on the ground. Of course, we can take a look around and see if there are any interesting stalls. Universities in the same place are always close to each other. On the way, there is an imposing school gate with the big words Linjiang Agricultural University standing out in the night. There are generally more female students in Agricultural University, and at this time there are many girls in cool clothes at the school gate. Jiangbin Agricultural University, Lin Xingyi muttered to herself. I heard that the campus here is very beautiful. Agricultural universities teach you everything from planting to raising, but they are usually homework for agricultural students. At school you may hear, my homework is dead. Chen Yang was about to answer when he noticed a familiar figure standing near the school gate. The man was looking down at his phone, but Chen Yang still recognized him at a glance. Chu Sheng. Chen Yang's expression instantly became serious, and he sped up a little. He was half a step ahead of Lin Xingyi and used his body to block the right half of her vision. Yes, Jiangnan University is indeed good, Chen Yang said in a relaxed tone. But the night market should be more lively, let's go check it out. He didn't want Lin Xingyi's mood to be ruined the first time, she wanted to go out on her own initiative. What an eyesore. Lin Xingyi nodded, not noticing Chen Yang's abnormality. She just looked at the hand she had been staring at, which moved a little further away from her. I want to hold. A thought kept struggling in Lin Xingyi's mind, her nose turned slightly red, as if she felt a little aggrieved. When he was about to turn, Chen Yang couldn't help but look back. A slim girl walked out of the school gate and went straight towards Chu Sheng. The two seemed to be very familiar with each other. Chen Yang narrowed his eyes and silently memorized this scene in his heart. There are quite a few peach blossoms. Chen Yang. What's wrong with you? Chen Yang came back to his senses. Nothing, I just remembered I need to buy some snacks later. Do you want to eat anything? Seeing that Chen Yang was a little absent-minded, he couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. Chen Yang. Lin Xingyi asked with courage. Are you too tired today? If you have other plans, we can go another day. Looking at Lin Xingyi's aggrieved expression, Chen Yang narrowed his eyes and raised a playful smile. Oh, I was just thinking that the girls at Jiangnan University seem pretty, but our Xingda beauties are much prettier. Lin Xingyi couldn't stand being praised. She lowered her head and whispered. Chen Yang, don't talk nonsense. Come on, let's go, I promise you'll have fun. You said if I bought all the candied haws at the night market and gave them to you, would you be so moved that you would marry me? Lin Xingyi's disappointment was swept away, and she said boldly, then buy the candied haws first, and I'll taste them to see if they're sweet. Oh, I almost forgot. You can't drink coffee or alcohol, and you have to eat less sweets. Chen Yang still remembered what his cousin Xiao Qinghan had told him, to let Lin Xingyi pay attention to her diet. Avoid caffeine and alcohol, and eat less sugar. How can this be? You just said you bought them all. What a liar. Lin Xingyi pouted her lips slightly, looked down at Chen Yang's hand. The idea of holding hands still lingered in her mind. As long as I walk close to Chen Yang, I don't have to look at the road and can concentrate on watching him. It feels really good. Well, you can only eat one candied haws. Chen Yang made a small compromise. He was afraid that Lin Xingyi would be depressed, because she couldn't eat the candied haws, which would be a waste of time. At the entrance of the night market, amid the bustling crowd, the aroma of various snacks wafts over. Lin Xingyi pulled Chen Yang's clothes. Chen Yang, shall we go eat grilled squid first? He secretly glanced at Chen Yang beside him, his heart beating uncontrollably faster, and the corner of his clothes moved closer to his hand. Okay, let's go eat grilled squid first. Boss, 2 servings of grilled squid. The two bought 2 servings of grilled squid and came to the ring-tossing stall. They each bought 20 hoops and stood behind the throwing line eager to try. Lin Xingyi took a deep breath and aimed at a furry little bear doll placed in the front. The one at the front should be the easiest. Lin Xingyi bit her lower lip, her little face full of concentrations. He shook her slender wrist, and the circle flew out. Ah! Lin Xingyi let out a soft cry, her expectations dashed. The circle flew past the little bear, and hit the wooden board behind it. The next 19 attempts also ended in failure. Some circles seemed to have wings, flying crookedly into the sky. Some were bounced away by the prizes and rolled a long way on the ground. Lin Xingyi's fair little face drooped and her mouth pouted slightly. It's not fun. When I was a kid and went out with my parents, they wouldn't go to these night markets, saying they were unclean. Although Lin Xingyi felt itchy inside, she could only watch from afar. What you cannot obtain when you are young will haunt you for the rest of your life. Today have fulfilled a wish. It's okay, look, no one else can do it either. Chen Yang stroked her back with a gentle tone. Lin Xingyi felt better and began to concentrate on watching Chen Yang throwing the Chen Yang's fingers are slender and powerful, and his movements are smooth and graceful with an indescribable elegance. I felt itchy in my heart, and the desire to hold hands became stronger and stronger. But every time I mustered up the courage and stretched my fingers forward slightly, I would retract them out of shyness. She rubbed her hands on the hem of her sweater, her heartbeat quickening and her cheeks growing slightly hot. Wow! A cheer broke the tense atmosphere. The ring was firmly placed on the cage containing a snow-white little rabbit. After throwing 20 circles, Chen Yang got to stuffed toys and a little white rabbit. Here you go, don't be unhappy. Chen Yang handed the small cage to Lin Xingyi and comforted her softly. At this moment, I felt my trouser legs being pulled. And a timid voice came. Big brother, can you help me catch a little white rabbit too? Looking down, I saw a little girl with 2 pigtails looking up, her big watery eyes full of anticipation. She stretched out her little hand and handed the remaining 5 circles to Chen Yang. 5 circles are quite difficult, and Chen Yang doesn't dare to guarantee it. Chen Yang squatted down and smiled gently. Brother will try his best. The circle flew out again, drawing a perfect arc in the air. After 2 failures, another ring was firmly placed in the cage. I got it. The little girl cheered and jumped towards the stall owner. The little girl hugged the rabbit, said thank you, big brother sweetly, and ran away happily. Lin Xingyi witnessed Chen Yang helping the little girl catch the little white rabbit. Chen Yang is so gentle, a man like him must be even gentler to his girlfriend. Thinking of this, a hint of pink quickly appeared on the tips of Lin Xingyi's ears. And the temperature of her breathing became much higher. Lin Xingyi thought about it and came up with another idea. It turns out I'm not the only one who has a little white rabbit. After leaving the stall, Lin Xingyi could clearly hear her own heartbeat. Should I take the initiative? Lin Xingyi encouraged herself in her heart. Chen Yang always takes the initiative, maybe I should be brave for once. For the first time, Lin Xingyi wanted to take off her hair band and put it on a boy's hand. This way this hand will belong to her forever, and no one can take it away. Thinking of this, Lin Xingyi's heart beat faster. Lin Xingyi, you can do it. Chapter 40 For holding hands is this feeling. After leaving the ring-tossing stall, there were still constant shouting and noise from the crowds around. Why is something so simple so difficult? Lin Xingyi was secretly annoyed in her heart. When Chen Yang was being rude to me, he could say anything. But why didn't I dare to? Now Chen Yang was holding a stuffed toy in one hand and eating grilled squid in the other, and it was obvious that he had no chance. I secretly glanced at Chen Yang's profile. The boy was concentrating on eating the grilled squid in his hand, and was completely unaware of the girl's thoughts beside him. Lin Xingyi couldn't help feeling a little discouraged, but was amused by the way Chen Yang was concentrating on eating. He chattered and gobbled the food voraciously, as if he was in an empty space. Chen Yang, can you let me hold the thing in your hand for a while? I always have a good appetite when I am with Chen Yang. I finished the grilled squid while watching Chen Yang throwing rings. Lin Xingyi mustered up the courage to speak. Oh, sure. Chen Yang casually handed the teddy bear on his waist to Lin Xingyi, as if he was completely unaware of the girl's intention. Lin Xingyi took the plush toy, and the soft touch made her heart beat faster. The left hand is free, here comes the opportunity. That. Chen Yang. Lin Xingyi took a deep breath and her voice became smaller and smaller. Can you finish your grilled squid quickly? What's wrong? Chen Yang looked at Lin Xingyi in confusion, and the latter lowered her head in a hurry. No, nothing, I just think it's inconvenient for you to walk with things in your arms. Lin Xingyi explained, stuttering lie, her cheeks quietly turning red. With a hint of doubt, Chen Yang quickened his eating pace. First he gobbled it up, then he devoured it all, and finally he cleaned up the bamboo sticks. The grilled squid was quickly finished. Okay, we're done. Chen Yang took the tissue prepared by Lin Xingyi with his left hand, and wiped his mouth with his right hand. Lin Xingyi plucked up her courage, reached out her hand, and gently touched Chen Yang's palm. Time seemed to stand still at this moment. Lin Xingyi could clearly feel the temperature of Chen Yang's palm, and the warm touch made her brain go blank in an instant. It spread throughout her body, making her heart tremble as if it had been hit by an electric current. What should I do? My legs are a little weak. In the past, Chen Yang always grabbed her wrist, probably as a way of maintaining a sense of propriety. Holding hands, this is the first time. Lin Xingyi closed her eyes subconsciously, not daring to look at Chen Yang's reaction. Chen Yang was indeed stunned. He didn't expect that Lin Xingyi, who had always been introverted, would suddenly do such a thing. Normally I'm the one who teases her, but today it seems like I'm the one taking over. My heart rate soared as I enjoyed the pleasant touch. Soft and small. If you put it next to your nose and smell it, it might smell fragrant. Coming back to my senses, I felt Xingyi's slightly trembling hand, and a complex emotion surged in my heart. The past came flooding back like a tide. Chen Yang recalled the exaggerated jokes he had made. In the cafeteria, I shouted Lin Xing, I love you, and teased her deliberately by saying that I wanted her first kiss. This may be the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. These actions were originally just to divert Lin Xingyi's attention, to temporarily wash away her inner thoughts of suicide, and to gain hope for treatment. After all, it is possible to survive. But Chen Yang remembered what his cousin said after Lin Xingyi recovered. The relationship established during her depression might change. So Chen Yang only dared to talk big, but never dared to do anything real. He was a little afraid that if he really did something, Lin Xingyi would regret it after she recovered and then hate him. Is Lin Xingyi's dependence on herself a life-saving straw mentality caused by depression? Chen Yang was not sure why Lin Xingyi took the initiative to hold his hand. Lin Xingyi still had her eyes closed, her head was as hot as a kettle, and she felt the warmth of Chen Yang's palm. Her hands were trembling slightly, and her left foot, which was wearing little white sneakers, was twisting nervously, revealing a part of her white and tender ankle. Chen Yang could feel the slight sweat on her soft palms. Perhaps, the most important thing now is not to find out her true thoughts. Chen Yang thought. This is a reward for the brave girl's active cooperation with the treatment. If she wants it, give it to her. Thinking of this, Chen Yang gently held Lin Xingyi's hand, applied a little force, and gently stroked the girl's hair with his other hand. It's fine, Chen Yang said softly with a soothing tone in his voice. I'm always with you. Lin Xingyi wanted to say something, but her words were blocked by shyness. Chen Yang held the hand of the girl whose ears were burning and continued to stroll in the night market. I haven't eaten the candied haws I promised myself yet. The hustle and bustle around them seemed far away from them. And at this moment, there were only each other in the world. Come on, follow me closely, don't get lost. Lin Xingyi followed Chen Yang closely, letting him lead her through the bustling crowd. The stall selling candied haws is very simple. Just a bicycle, a big phone filled with candied haws, and a wooden stick in the middle. Most of the people selling candied haws are old grandfathers or middle-aged people who are about to enter old age. The bright red hawthorns wrapped in crystal clear sugar coating sparkled under the neon lights of the night market, looking particularly tempting. Boss, give me a string of candied haws. Hawthorn ones will do. There are many varieties of candied haws nowadays, with all kinds of fruits available, but the most classic one is hawthorn. Chen Yang said to the stall owner. Only one string? Yes, I'm too poor to afford it. Chen Yang opened his mouth and said something indecent again. Chen Yang took the candied haws from the stall owner, scanned the code and paid $3.50. Then turned to Lin Xingyi and said, Be good, you can only eat one. The doctor said that the disease is not yet cured and I should eat less sugar. Lin Xingyi raised her still slightly hot face, carefully felt Chen Yang's temperature, and said in a soft voice, Yeah, I got it. Lin Xingyi carefully peeled off the plastic wrapping and gently took a bite of the candied haws at the top. The sweet and sour taste spread in her mouth. Is it tasty? Chen Yang asked in a low voice. Lin Xingyi nodded vigorously, then reluctantly gave the candied haws to Chen Yang. Just eat one. People who didn't know might think that Chen Yang was bullying Lin Xingyi because he bought some candied haws, but only gave her one and didn't even let her have a whole bunch. Chen Yang is not a big fan of candied haws, but he will eat anything that is edible, and he never gets tired of the sweet and sour taste. Chen Yang quickly finished off the remaining four, one at a time. Lin Xingyi secretly watched Chen Yang eat the remaining candied haws one by one, and felt a wonderful feeling in her heart. It's obviously my favorite candied haws, but when I watched Chen Yang eat it, I felt that it was sweeter than what I ate myself. Lin Xingyi felt her heartbeat speeding up again and her cheeks getting hotter. A string costs $3.50, and I can buy nearly 3,000 strings with my monthly living expenses. If Chen Yang likes it, buy it for him. Lin Xingyi felt that she had a little more hope in life. You eat slowly, don't choke. Lin Xingyi said in a low voice. The tails of her beautiful eyes were dyed peach red, but she still didn't dare to look directly at Chen Yang. Chen Yang looked at Lin Xingyi's shy look and couldn't help laughing. Don't worry, but your face is so red, don't you think it's too sweet? No. Lin Xingyi shook her head hurriedly, but she felt the tips of her ears were burning. She subconsciously wanted to cover her face with her hands, but then she remembered that one of her hands was still being held by Chen Yang, and she suddenly became at a loss. It's easy to give it away, but difficult to get it back. Chapter 45, No Way Back. Spicy and tempting grilled skewers, soft and sweet rice dumplings, fresh and juicy pan-fried buns. Chen Yang took Lin Xingyi to try them all. The food is still delicious at roadside stalls. While eating the dumplings, Chen Yang even wondered if Lin Xingyi felt the same way. Soft, sticky and sweet. On the way back, The hustle and bustle of the night market gradually faded away, and the streets under the streetlights became quiet and gentle. The stars were all hidden, and the only thing in the sky was a waning moon, half hidden by dark clouds. Lin Xingyi and Chen Yang were still holding hands, walking slowly on the way home. The cool night breeze blew across their faces, taking away some of the heat. Lin Xingyi was reluctant to let Chen Yang go, and holding Chen Yang's hand, she was even more reluctant to let go. At this moment, Chen Yang's cell phone vibrated. I took out my cell phone and took a look. It was a message from my roommate group. Ji bought you. Lao Chen, are you coming back tonight? Daeon bought a new game, and we are going to play it all night, and you are the only one missing. Soon after, another roommate, Fu Qin, also sent a message. Come back soon, brother, Daeon has started to threaten us. What's wrong? Lin Xingyi asked curiously, her voice cautious. For fear of disrupting the moment of separation, Lin Xingyi discovered that after successfully holding Chen Yang's hand, some part of her body felt itchy. She wanted more, like a hug. Chen Yang smiled and said, nothing, my roommates just asked me if I wanted to stay up all night. Lin Xingyi's heart sank, she lowered her head and whispered, oh, then you can go back. There was a barely perceptible hint of loss in his voice. Chen Yang looked at Lin Xingyi's lowered eyes and his heart moved. I did some mental work during the day and then went shopping all night. He must not have the energy to stay up all night, otherwise he would have been like a living dead the next day. In that case, I'd better not go back and disturb my brother's fun. Chen Yang gently squeezed her hand and pretended to be embarrassed. Actually, the school has recently added a curfew, so I guess I can't get in at this time. There is no curfew at Linjiang University, and the doors can be opened by facial recognition or by swiping a campus card. Lin Xingyi doesn't live on campus, so this excuse shouldn't be seen through. Lin Xingyi raised her head, a hint of surprise flashed in her beautiful fox eyes. But she quickly lowered her head again, biting her lower lip lightly, not knowing what to say. The last time Chen Yang stayed at her place was because he fell and needed care. But this time Lin Xingyi couldn't find any reason and was too embarrassed to speak. You can't just say I don't want you to leave. Chen Yang took a deep breath, mustered up his courage and said, can I stay at your place for a night? After saying that, he looked at Lin Xingyi nervously, afraid that she would refuse. This time is not like last time. Without a legitimate reason, Chen Yang would not be so justified even if he wanted to act like a hooligan. But does one need a reason to be a hooligan? Of course not. When Lin Xingyi heard this, she felt her heartbeat speed up instantly. Her cheeks felt hot as if they were about to burn, and she stammered, go to my place? But, the sound was so low that it was almost inaudible. Well, okay then. The first time is unfamiliar, the second time is familiar. Chen Yang seems to be more familiar with the way to Lin Xingyi's rental house than she is. Let's go. Chen Yang's tone was cheerful. He led Lin Xingyi into a road and did not go back to school, but to her rental house. I'm so familiar with it after only being there a few times. It feels like I'm back home. In front of the door, Lin Xingyi's heartbeat suddenly accelerated with the sound of the key being inserted into the keyhole. Take a deep breath and try to calm your inner tension. Chen Yang was standing behind her. She could feel his breath brushing the back of her neck, which made her hands tremble slightly unconsciously. Why are you standing so close? Are you in such a hurry to get in? With a click, the door opened. To Lin Xingyi's surprise, Chen Yang skillfully stepped past her and entered the room first. He bent down, took out a pair of pink home slippers from the shoe cabinet, and gently placed them at Lin Xingyi's feet. I know you wear these. Chen Yang has been here several times and it was obviously not in vain. Thank you. Lin Xingyi whispered softly, lowered her head and started to change her shoes. She carefully pulled her feet out of her sneakers. The white socks wrapped around her slender ankles made her look particularly petite and cute under the light from the entrance. Lin Xingyi felt that Chen Yang was watching her every move, which made her movements extremely clumsy. Damn, what's so good about it? Just as she was about to put on her slippers, she accidentally lost her balance and fell forward. Careful. Chen Yang was quick to act and grabbed her shoulders. Lin Xingyi screamed and fell into Chen Yang's arms. She could clearly hear Chen Yang's strong heartbeat and smell his faint body odor. I'm sorry, I'm so stupid. Lin Xingyi quickly stood up, lowered her head and dared not look into Chen Yang's eyes. But she was saying in her heart, it's all your fault. You kept staring at me. Even a dull brain can come up with ideas in a hurry. Lin Xingyi remembered that there were a few small clothes on the balcony that had not been collected yet. So she turned around and wanted to escape from the awkward atmosphere. I'll go clean up the balcony. Lin Xingyi almost ran into the inner room and rushed to the balcony. In the moonlight, several brightly colored underwear swayed gently in the evening breeze, as if teasing the blush on her face. What should I do? We can't let that pervert see this. Lin Xingyi exclaimed softly, and began to collect clothes in a hurry. It's not that I feel disgusted, but I feel very ashamed. She could hear Chen Yang moving around in the living room, which made her movements even more flustered. Pink tights, some with cute bear patterns. Just as Lin Xingyi was frantically putting away the last piece of underwear, Chen Yang's voice came from behind her. Xingyi, do you need help? No, no need. Lin Xingyi turned around in panic, hugging the clothes in her arms tightly to her chest. Don't come over here. Chen Yang was stunned for a moment, then smiled knowingly. Okay, I won't watch it, take your time. Seeing Chen Yang considerately turn around and leave, Lin Xingyi breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time felt a little inexplicably lost. She gently patted her hot cheeks and muttered softly, Lin Xingyi, what are you thinking about? Lin Xingyi found that ever since she held Chen Yang's hand, her mind was like a wild horse that had broken free from its reins, and she dared to think about anything. After cleaning up the balcony, Lin Xingyi took a deep breath, used the cool evening breeze to cool her face, tidied her expression and clothes, and then walked back to the living room. She saw Chen Yang half lying on the sofa, playing with his mobile phone with a relaxed look on his face, as if he was at home. Chapter 46 Feeding Medicine. I'm going to take a shower first. Lin Xingyi half leaned against the bathroom door, holding the clothes she wanted to change in her hand, and spoke softly. Okay, take your time. Chen Yang looked up and smiled gently at her. His phone unconsciously closed other application interfaces and opened the camera. A gentle, lovely and slightly shy girl appeared on the phone screen. Seeing that Chen Yang was only busy playing with his phone, and not paying much attention to herself, Lin Xingyi took the opportunity to breathe a sigh of relief and hid in the bathroom. The bathroom door closed and hot water gushed out of the shower head. Lin Xingyi felt as if she was about to melt. The warm water caressed her body, but it couldn't wash away her inner tension and anticipation. She kept telling herself to stay calm. The sound of water gradually subsided. It is more troublesome for girls to take a bath. It takes more than 10 minutes to blow dry their long hair. Lin Xingyi stood in front of the mirror, looking at herself in the mirror. Some of her long, wet hair draped over her shoulders, and her fair skin was a faint pink from the heat. She took a deep breath, mustered up the courage and opened the bathroom door. The moment she walked out of the bathroom, the cold air from the air conditioner made Lin Xingyi shiver. Looking towards the living room, Chen Yang was still playing with his phone and didn't seem to notice her. A girl who just came out of the bath is the most beautiful. This scene was permanently captured by Chen Yang with his mobile phone. Isn't it immoral to take secret photos like this? It's so obscene. Chen Yang cursed himself in his heart and felt much better after that. He could not curse others anymore after he had cursed them. Thinking of this, I set the photo of Lin Xingyi just walking out of the bathroom as wallpaper. Lin Xingyi tiptoed towards her bedroom, her bare, wet feet stepping on her home slippers, leaving a trail of wet marks. Her toes curled up unconsciously, making her look extremely petite and cute. Her skin was as white as jade, and the instep was slightly pink, like newly blooming cherry blossom petals. Coming to the bed, Lin Xingyi squatted gently on the soft bedding, her eyes unconsciously glancing towards the door, secretly hoping that Chen Yang would notice her. Are mobile phones that fun? Lin Xingyi felt a little lost and a little dizzy. And then she remembered that she hadn't taken her medicine today. The medicine bottle was placed on the coffee table in the living room. She bit her lower lip, and a bold idea suddenly flashed through her mind. After a night of shopping, I just took a shower and my body feels soft, and I don't want to move. Should I let Chen Yang feed me medicine? As soon as this idea came up, it was like a spark that instantly ignited Lin Xingyi's entire heart. The little face that had calmed down a little instantly became more rosy, and even the tips of the ears were tinged with a blush. Lin Xingyi couldn't believe that she would have such a thought. But if it was Chen Yang? Lin Xingyi's heart beat faster, and she felt as if she had become a different person. She would never have had such an idea before, but now, she is looking forward to Chen Yang coming to take care of her. Lin Xingyi, what are you thinking about? She muttered quietly, holding her hot cheeks in her hands. I remember Chen Yang said that taking care of your mood is the most important thing now. If there is anything that can make you feel better, do it if it is reasonable. Yes, that makes sense. It makes me feel better. The desire deep in her heart became stronger and stronger. She quietly moved to the bedside and stuck her head out to look towards the living room. Chen Yang was flipping through the book Women's Uterine Cold again, and seemed to be completely unaware of the movement here. Lin Xingyi bit her lower lip, mustered up her courage, and called softly, Chen Yang. The sound was so soft that even she could hardly hear it. Lin Xingyi's heart was beating so fast that it seemed like it was about to jump out of her chest. She didn't know whether she hoped Chen Yang heard it or not. At this moment, Chen Yang suddenly raised his head and his eyes met Lin Xingyi's eyes. Xingyi? Are you calling me? After Chen Yang finished speaking, He yawned. He must be tired.